Gump report.
I just did the Vicky Guerrero and Cheryl Ann video, and I'm actually going to upload that after I do this video. I'm going to put my intro on, and I'm going to upload it. That's what's going to happen. This video is going to be slated for a couple of days from now, maybe next week, along with the Triple H. I did do my Triple H video about what I think he should do, and he should leave. But this is about Asuka and Bayley, two of the most prominent women in WWE Women's Wrestling. And when WrestleMania 39 came out, it was one of the best WrestleManias you've seen in maybe, I'd say, over 10, 15 years easily. It was that dramatic. We haven't had such great storytelling. No, actually, I think in the last 20 years, since 2003. And I know people are going to say, dude, there have been a lot of WrestleManias. But you're forgetting about the controversy of Chris Benoit, the one that shall not be named. In 2004, he won, but once Eddie died, and then he killed himself and then killed his wife and son, that caused a heavy controversy that a lot of people don't want to remember during that time. So I'm skipping over that. So this and one of the best WrestleManias we had in nearly 20 years. I'm saying it. The Sami Zayn story with Kevin Owens was one of the most strongest stories with the bloodline we've seen in years, in almost 2 decades, in the recent memory of what's going on. But here's the thing. We saw this Raw. This Raw pissed off a huge amount of people that either podcasters like myself and hardcore fans that left WWE to go to AEW or just stopped watching wrestling entirely in the last 9 months. 9 months from last July until now. Vince was not running the general show. At least that we thought. He became truly apparent this Monday. And I do believe he might have started at the beginning of the year. Just at the beginning of the year in December. So instead of being July, August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. I believe it was a little earlier than that. I believe July, August, September, October, November, December. 5 months after he left. Not 9. 5 months might have been the only time you've seen Triple H run the company. Because by December, Vince forced himself back, telling the board of directors of WWE, 1, I'm coming back to help in negotiation to sell the company when he didn't need to try and sell it. Because Vince just wanted the company not to be in the hands that is not him. 2, that he made sure when he came back to get only the people he wanted to control the situation so he can either stay in power once the acquisition to another company is done, or at least have enough time to do what he wanted, because this is just the beginning. Vince forced 2 shareholders who was doing the internal investigation that helped to give a lot of the information about the sexual allegations to the feds, but also the internal search throughout the entire WWE to see about the assets that Vince used to pay these people off. 2 of them quit, along with his daughter Stephanie. She didn't step down and go to a lower position. She quit. She quit, guys. She was willing to lose the contract she was under, which was probably lucrative. And she said, I'm done. Quietly leaving and saying, I love the WWE, towing the line of the company and make sure it's all right. And then Triple H coming out, stating that everything is fine about a week or so after this happened, when Vince did come back, reassuring not just the wrestlers, but also the staff, which is the production crew, the writers, when it comes to the producers, talent relations, everyone there, that everything is fine. Vince is not coming back. He will not run the company. But that was a lie. He was forced to say it because he's under Vince's control. So what did we get? We got an exceptionally good WrestleMania with flaws, but exceptionally good that we haven't seen in almost 20 years. When in the last 20 years, other than a few instances where it was way better, and I'm not saying this is the best WrestleMania in 20 years, it's one of the best. we get this great WrestleMania, and then we get one of the worst Raws after WrestleMania that we've seen in history, where none of it makes sense. None of it was what Triple H would normally do. And we heard rumors for months that Vince has been seen in the back. He's not supposed to be there because he's not supposed to be related there. But we know he's been talking to Triple H. So that means, as the premier shareholder of 80%,
He had 80% of the freaking shares of the company.
and everyone else was within 20%. The shareholders, when it came to Steph, Nick Khan, and Triple H himself, Paul Levesque, they only had 20% shares in the company. Vince had 80. And that's not even counting how much Steph's mom might have had, Linda. Maybe she might have been within that 20%. Because I'm sure that Shane McMahon has shares, which he's going to need them because he tore his quad. He needs money. And Linda probably was in that as well. Everyone else had 20%. He had 80. 20 to 80. Look at that big. That's big, baby. So, what do we have here when it comes to a Bayley and Asuka? Asuka released a statement just before Bayley, making it very clear. You can look at the connection. I believe if it's still there, I'll leave a connection. And generally she said, I think it's time for me to just go back to Japan. I'm thinking about it. And I know people are going to miss me. They're going to miss me in WWE, but I need your rage now. Because the boring women's division needs to have chaos. Asuka's been there, since 2013 or 14? She's been there, 14 or 15. She's been there almost nearing 8 or 9 years easily. Nearing 10 maybe. I can't remember how long she's been there. She had a 2-year run in NXT. I say maybe 2014 I think she came in, or 15. And she had a 2-great-year run. And she was basically boned when she got to the main roster by Charlotte Flair. When it was WrestleMania, their match, Charlotte did not need to win that match. Asuka boned. She was fucked over and buried. And she's gone through different iterations, including working with Kylie Zane, doing the Empress and Pirate, where their show was horrid. It was garbage. Their showing was nothing. Eventually, she had to go away because of injury. She came back, went away for another injury, finally came back, looked great as Kata-chan, and she should have been slated to win the title from Bianca Belair because there's no one else that Bianca could have gone up against. And I'm not saying that the build of Asuka was great. Her character is great, but her build was not that great. But there was no one else. This is what happens when a guy is only running a company, calm down. This is where I'm getting angry. Triple H possibly only had 5 months from July, nearing August, when he took over as head writer for creative, and December, when Vince tried to force his way back in, and I do believe he got back in by January. Just when January rolled around is when Vince finally got in and he started telling Triple H this is what I wanted. And Vince gets what he wants. Because Triple H has no control. He doesn't own 80% of the company. 80% of the damn shares of the company. So this is what I believe has happened. There's no way he's going to be able to reorganize the women, the men, the characters, the storylines, whatever's been running for all this time. He had to work with what he had. There was not enough time to get it done. And everyone, at least I stated it, I don't know about Just Alex, I'm not trying to bury Just Alex and JD or Solid Monster or anyone else. But they were so happy Vince was gone. They didn't want to notice that the quality just was not there, particularly after January of this year. Quality just was still not there, and there was just something wrong. I've been saying it. When it came to NXT, when it came to the pay-per-views, when I said something about what's going on with the general show, at least on and off, it just didn't seem right. There was something still wrong. And it was Vince. So when it came to Asuka, she just voiced her opinion. She's done. She doesn't want to deal with having maybe 1 or 2 minute matches, or Vince wanting the women to dress sexy when they don't want it, or having the most stupidest characters that Vince wanted, but the women don't, or worse yet, Vince says to the women, oh, don't worry, I'm going to book you and make you look good. And they sit back in catering, or they get released within about a couple of months of WrestleMania. Bayley, she made a title. The romance is over. Everything comes to an end. Generally, bye. That's what she generally said. People are saying, and because she was not on Raw, she was pulled from Raw. That's due to Vince, not Triple H. Vince made that call because as it was reported by Dave Meltzer and several others, I believe 1 or 2 others, Vince was at least an hour or at least 30 minutes before the show had started, and he already did 1 rewrite of the show, and then as the show went, he did 2 more rewrites. That is the reason why the show was so chaotic, and it was not exciting. It was boring. Nothing was done. Vince did whatever he did. Look at what happened to no Braun Breaker on Raw. Bronson Reed in the WrestleMania 39, I think it was night 2, he came out as a damn pimp. I thought, that's different. Look at what happened with Omos and Elias. They opened the show. Omos lost, but why was he even booked strongly? For what reason? He just lost to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar himself, who was a damn face, and there was no sign of him turning heel. He shouldn't have turned heel. He should have had at least a couple of weeks to a month to turn heel because he's still angry and he wants to take it out on somebody. There was no build for that. Now, people are saying, oh, that's fine. Brock Lesnar's always the beast. He always turns on a dime. No. Even Vince would have booked Brock properly. Brock was turned heel instantly because Vince wanted Cody to have someone now, not several weeks from now or a couple of months to build into him now, because that's the way Vince books. He Vince in the extreme short term. So Bayley has made it very clear, I'm done. Unless she's hurt, which there's been no reports, Bayley is done like Asuka. She's finished. Asuka has made it very clear, I'm going to probably want to go back to Japan. I'm sick of this. She has openly said, I'm done. This isn't character. Why would Asuka even say something like this, saying clearly the boring women's division? She have never openly said something like that, even when she had character changes. This is real life, guys. If you don't think it, watch the show. You're going to see. I'm still watching Raw on and off. Generally, I am watching. Unless just Alex or JD or Solomon to say something, then I'll go and look at a replay of the entire show. At least as much as what they were talking about, not highlights. A lot of time, highlights won't show exactly what's going on. They take a little bit of snippet, but they won't show all of what happened before and after. I'd rather see the actual show in a replay of where they talk about, because then what happened beforehand, even if it was boring, gives you a good idea what's going on when this segment happened and then afterward, and seeing what the segment after that happened. Sometimes it's better to see the full highlight, because I know people like highlights. Sometimes you need to get a full scope of the entire area of what is talked about, because a lot of highlights miss something. But that's just me. I
try to be a perfectionist and I fail.
But you get my point. This is what we're dealing with now. The question is, what is the grizzled young veterans? They have been working in WWE. They've already asked for a release. The question is, how many more people are going to ask for a release? I don't know. That's going to be a big question. How many people are going to start asking for a release before Vince releases them just because he wants to release them? Or it's going to be one of two things. There's going to be people next month or two that's going to be asking for a release that will be indicated. And then we're going to start getting the story of budget cuts. That's the first one. Because Vince is going to say, I don't need all these people that a Paulie, my boy, had given my boy, Triple H. Get them out of here. And he fires them within the next 3 to 4 months. Just fires them. I think within the first 2 months, but I don't know. That's why I say 3 to 4 months. Then Vince, instead of just firing those people outright within three months easily, he takes the people, that had been begun to get booked really hard by Triple H. He buries their ass. Look at what's going on with Mustafa Ali. He was much more interesting when he was confronting people. Now look what he's doing. Happy-go-lucky. Who do you think booked him like that last 2 months or so? That's Vince. He threw him right back to where he was before, and now he's getting buried. And possibly he'll still stay on the roster because Vince is going to keep either burying his ass because he made issues when he was there, or he'll bury him enough before he takes him off TV, before he quietly releases him and tells him, you can't do no work for 3 months. Shut your ass up. That's what he's going to do with multiple people. Look at Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt, last year when he came back, just before last year, around October, November, he was so interesting. At least for many people, for me personally, when he went back to the old stick of the Firefly Funhouse, I believe that was the wrong way to go. I openly said it. Everyone else was fine with it. I said I was wondering him to do something entirely different. What he was doing, just being himself, was different. Then Uncle Howdy showed up. That was even more different. Something interesting. Then he went to the Firefly Funhouse, and I'm going like, no. I'm sorry. I'm not interested. When he was being himself, Wyndham Rotunda was interesting. When Uncle Howdy showed up, that could have been and might be Bo Dallas. That was being interesting. But now what do we got? We barely seen Uncle Howdy. We did not see Bray Wyatt in WrestleMania at all. People saw him right when WrestleMania was happening in his car. Ask him, why you not WrestleMania, brother? He says, something. I don't remember what he said. But he didn't admit he was going to be there wrestling. There was nothing on the card for him to wrestle. Nothing. What happened? Vince. So now we're going to see women are going to get pissed off. If you have not seen Athena's video with Chris Van Vliet, she's a prime example of one woman who just did not fit the mold of WWE with Vince. Because, let's be honest, Athena's a beautiful woman. She's short, she's sexy, but she's a dork. I'm a dork too. I'm a geek. I love anime. I still love video games, even though I don't play them often. I did do anime, but I've been really kind of stuck in a rut trying to bring myself to doing anime because of the situation I had last year. I won't explain it, but it was not a good one, which kind of burned me out doing my animation. So I've been kind of stagnant. That's why my other channel had been no anime for almost 7 months. It's not been easy for me. But I'm the same as her. I'm a dork. I'm a geek. She's a dork and a geek. She doesn't consider herself like Mandy Rose, who's like that, who wears clothes that shows her the JJ very well, and people love it, men and women alike. And she doesn't dress like that. And Vince made it very clear before he was forced retired, you need to start dressing like that. Ergo, what I have been telling people when I saw guess who? Natalia. Natalia, before she left, when it came to Shayna supposedly breaking her face and her nose, she didn't dress heavily sexualized. Yeah, she's always been a sexy woman and dressed nice. But she didn't always show a lot of tits and ass. What happened when she came back, guys? Do you remember what I kept saying? What is going on with Natalia? Natalia didn't need to dress that heavy sexually. Why? Guess what? Vince. I caught it before anyone else. Check with anybody else to ask them. Oh, we knew there was something going on. I knew before anyone else because of how Natalia started dressing. Because, let's be honest, Natalia's got a great tits and ass, but she never over-sexualized herself unless Vince told her. Next to her farting, because Vince thought it was funny to make her fart like crazy years ago. Remember that?
Do you remember how Vince made her start farting on screen, which was fake farts, but still made her do it?
That was the most stupidest storyline and angle or gimmick that anyone's ever had. Forcing a sexy woman like Natalia to start farting like crazy because maybe an accidental fart happened in front of Vince and he says, you know what? Oh my goodness, that fart was great. Let's make an angle of you farting all the time. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. Because it's stupid. But guess what? Vince made her go through months of farting and humiliation. And as a good warrior or soldier for WWE, she did the best she could. And guess what? She went away after supposedly Shayna broke her nose, came back, wearing the most tightest clothes you could see, where you could probably see her tchotchke and her nips, and you would say, as a woman, damn, that's a lot there, I kind of like it. Not because I want to wear it, because I want to suck them. And a guy, the same thing. And that is what it came down to. You could see the difference for months of just certain people acting a certain way. But that's me. And I truly believe that this is what I believe. Not that Vince, if Vince doesn't book SmackDown, because that's a big question tonight. Because this is being done on the 7th. We don't know who's going to run SmackDown. Will it be Vince McMahon or Paul Levesque, Triple H? I don't know who. Not until I watch it am I going to know. The question is going to be, will it be Paul? If it's Paul, it's going to be a good show. He'll book it the way he believes is right. But if it's Vince, we're going to hear rewrites before the show starts. And then we will see confusing, random stuff that's chaotic. That will be Vince. And I say this 100% about Just Alex. I'm not against him. But him saying that Vince is a senile man who's out of touch, no. Vince is not senile. That man knows exactly what he's doing. Vince was smart enough to do a near $9 billion deal with Endeavor. He's not senile when it comes to wrestling. He knows exactly what he's doing. He just can't stand the fact that no one's letting him do what he wants. They're complaining about it. He made it, I'm going to say this, that I saw an interview with him years ago. And he said, for on record, that his family is very long lived. His grandmother lived over 100 years old and was still very spry for her age. Vince is 78, still has cock diesel muscles. Do you actually think Vince is going to be dead in the next year or two, or 3 or 4? I believe he's not going anywhere. And while he's not going anywhere, he's going to get rid of a lot of talent, and particularly when it comes to the women's division, he's going to gut it and only allow, at this point, because she's so over, Bianca Belair. When it comes to, well, if Sasha was there, she would not get anywhere. But he would do something once in a while with her. When it comes to Charlotte, he's booking her. When it comes to Ronda Rousey, he is booking her. And when it comes to Shayna, unless Ronda pushes to keep her up, Shayna's going to drop to the ringside. You're going to see Carmella get pushed more. You're going to see, guess who, Lacey Evans getting heavily pushed. Because they're going to fit the criteria where Vince believes it. Because remember, Lacey Evans was supposed to come back as a soldier. She didn't dress as a soldier. All those vignettes of her being like a military woman again, like she was a SWAT officer. Remember, when it came to Lacey Evans in real life, she was a Marine SWAT officer. They could have dressed her in not showing any flesh on her body, showing that she's like Sergeant Slaughter, a true fighter. No, they made her no different, showing a huge amount of tits on her first match. Her shoe tore off. That shows karma for you. And that's what we got with her. She could have looked like SWAT. Came out in army attire. Well, Marine attire. Coming out, taking off her stuff, and just beating the living crap on anybody, saying nothing, and then leaving the ring. She didn't do that. She acted exactly as she did, showing a lot of titty. Go look at the videos of when she re-debuted again as a soldier, doing this. Look at it. Oh, I'm about to say peace, but this is Gump Report. I hope you enjoyed this video. It'll probably be released Monday. I might do this before the Triple H video. I haven't figured it out yet. Either I'm going to release Triple H first, or I may release this first. Don't know yet. I might actually release them back to back. Maybe I'll release it on one day, then another. I don't know yet. Peace.